Oh yay, more DLC characters, all of which should have been there from the very beginning. Now Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite has recently came out, and much like Street Fighter V, it feels half finished. And again, much like with Street Fighter V, Capcom have decided, you know what, let's add in as much DLC content as possible. And then maybe a year later, let's do an ultimate version of the exact game. Though given credit where credit is due, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite is fine for what it is, and at the very least, it's playable. But we can all agree that the problem is, if they decided to delay the game much further and add more content to it, then it would have been that much better. Now at this point, it's a well-known fact that Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite are releasing a bunch of DLC characters. The first two of which are of course Black Panther and Sigma, both of which should have been in the main roster from the get-go, given that both characters did have a pretty big role within the story. And it was also revealed a few days ago that Monster Hunter will also be a DLC character, and yet again, should have been there from the base roster, but for some reason they decided to put her as a DLC character. The props to Capcom, at the very least they're experimenting on a new franchise within the Marvel vs. Capcom games. Now what's interesting is that right after Monster Hunter was revealed, Capcom has released a statement in relation to the next 3 DLC characters right after Monster Hunter. And I quote, "We know there has been much speculation on who the remaining 4 DLC characters will be, and we are happy to announce that Monster Hunter, Winter Soldier, Black Widow, and the shapeshifting Venom will all be battling their way into Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite later this year. We are hard at work on these characters and can't wait to show them to you when they are ready." Now I'm going to be touching upon how I personally feel about these new additions into Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, starting with Black Widow. Personally, she wasn't someone that I was extremely anticipating to make an appearance, mostly because there are more interesting Marvel characters that deserve their spot more than her. But on the other hand, Black Widow is a female character, which for some reason seems to be a major problem with the main roster. But not only that, she was also the only main cut Avenger that didn't appear in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite for some reason. So for these reasons, I'm happy that Black Widow is going to be a DLC character. Next we have the Winter Soldier, who is getting such a huge popularity boost over the last few years. Not to mention the Winter Soldier is also a major player in the MCU, as to which this game is heavily influenced by. And again, I think it's pretty cool that the Winter Soldier will be a DLC character as well. And finally we get to Venom. Now they never really specified on which version of Venom they're going to go for, but based on his previous appearances, I'm assuming that this is going to be Eddie Brock. And I know for a fact that I am not alone when I say this, but this was way overdue. Venom has been absent from the Marvel vs. Capcom series for so long that we demanded Venom to be playable in some way, shape or form. And finally, we're getting our wish. Now what's really strange about this announcement is that prior to this, we had a few leaks revolving around the DLC characters. And if you look at this fan-made image, you can clearly see all the DLC characters prior to this announcement, including Sigma, Monster Hunter, Venom, Winter Soldier, and Black Panther, with the last slot presumably meant to be a Capcom character. And now that Black Widow is announced alongside Venom and the Winter Soldier, it's weird to see that we're going to get more Marvel characters than Capcom characters. Unless the next batch of DLC characters will have more Capcom characters than Marvel characters, but only time will tell. And despite the obvious problem that all these DLC characters should have been at the main roster, I'm still happy with all the DLC characters that Capcom has chosen. So what do you think of the newly announced DLC characters for Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite? And who are you most excited to play as out of the 3 newly announced characters? Is it Venom, Black Widow, or the Winter Soldier? Comment below and share some thoughts. And as always, thank you guys for watching this video. Please like and subscribe. Take care and have a good one.